to do that.
I did not mean to do that. We can run it back though.
Every day is a good day. Yeah. Welcome to This Week in White Supremacy. My name is Jasiri X. I'm co-founder and CEO of One Hood Media. Hopefully this is not your first time, but if it is your first time, stick with us. You'll enjoy our conversation.
Just breathe.
We got some jokes. We got some pertinent information for you, and we have
the A mic.
The number
It's a
one.
miracle. It's a miracle.
Oh. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's a miracle.
It's like it's the new drop.
Yes.
It's a miracle.
How that's how it's supposed to sound. Oh, yes.
You know, you just gotta give a man time to
Just
do
gotta
right.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it'll come through. But anyways, it's your girl Miracle, aka Big Blessings, Big Blessings. I think I'm gonna be like I think I'm gonna Mashallah Miracle today.
Are you sure?
Okay.
I think the first.
I'm saying we might change that.
I think the first topic might be triggering.
The Menace Miracle may come back.
Miracle the man hater.
Miracle the Menace. Oh, Miracle the man hating. Man hating Miracle. Okay, well,
was clearly a favorite. Yeah.
Well,
is this proof though of your multiple personality disorder?
Oh wow.
Oh, wow.
Jesus.
You know,
Is it HIPAA a thing, my brother?
Wow. I mean, I don't work for in medical healthcare.
he says that prove
Just
your
put it
mental
on.
miracle.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mental health miracle.
Wow.
Yeah, but you know, we'll see which one of me shows up.
Okay. All right.
We'll see if on our first topic one of your old nicknames doesn't come to fruition.
I don't. At this point, it's nicknames and personalities because, I think that's what we want to know.
We don't know. And my brother.
It's your boy Trouble Nonetheless, Never Like Supremacy. I think today I'm gonna choose to be Next Level Serene.
Okay, I like that. I like
As
that.
much as I can.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And you, sir.
Oh, buddy, it's the big one, buddy. Oh, buddy, it's the supremacy. Buddy. Yeah, buddy.
I'm lost. Is that one of your personalities?
No.
Where'd this come from,
I
brother?
don't know, man. I just like,
He said the whole staff needs help.
If he tried to talk like that,
He needs some milk.
yeah, brother, clear your throat, maybe. Pause.
boys, it was crazy, buddy.
Please do not do that again. Please. Particularly if you're tuning in thinking like, yo, they about to drop some serious knowledge. And then that's what you're sharing. Please don't.
Serious times.
Well, I don't know how to start. But let me wait, hold on. I'll start with this headline from the Washington Informers. We got a black pope, y'all.
A woke Marxist pope.
A new black pope. So we do have we have the first American pope, Robert Prevost. He is from Chicago. Shout out, you know what I'm saying? Like, come on, Chicago in the building. What you have?
Oh my gosh.
What's this?
Here we go. Listen.
That's my
I love that song.
Me too, I love that song. But as soon as I heard he was from Chicago, I was like, he's from where?
Yes.
Hood Pope, man.
Hood Pope in the building.
Sipping Jesus juice.
Listen.
And
Now that song is in my head.
Love that record.
you know,
large up man like ASAP Ferg, man.
he's now Pope Leo.
Pope Leo the 14th.
Yes, and he took the name Leo
Long may he reign.
because Leo was a pope initially that was, I believe, like he was an abolitionist or against slavery, about justice in the world. And according to these people that study genealogy, he has black and Creole roots from New Orleans, 7th Ward.
So he probably related to Beyonce.
Wow.
That'd be crazy. If he came out, if she did Cowboy Carter when she's like flying in the car over, and the Pope was
came out
sitting next to her, like, oh,
rocking out, or he have Beyonce at the Vatican.
Jesus ain't my co-pilot, but the Pope is.
That'd
the
be
Pope was crazy. That'd be crazy. It says, according to, and I'm looking at Miracle to see what her response to this is. According to genealogist Jerry Christian Harana, his maternal lineage traces directly to the black community of New Orleans 7th Ward, with family ties to Haiti and census records identifying his ancestors as black or mulatto by the Europeans' own 1/8 rules.
Afternoon, my octoroom.
We have a black pope.
So you're letting a white man define what blackness is. That's how you're.
Is this Jari Christopher person?
No, I'm just saying the one drop rule. You're letting a white person define what our culture is. Is that how the great minister defines blackness?
Great minister is crazy.
Jari, who is black.
Oh, so you're pointing at somebody. You're co-signing somebody else.
Says, quote, by the Europeans.
So a white man.
Yes, own rule. But according to the Europeans, you said you're not European, Miracle. Miracle said, in my hood, that nigga white.
Yeah. Is the Pope good in your hood?
Is he?
I would hope so.
Does the Pope have to show you his great grandmother and grandfather, Miracle?
Does the Pope say he's black?
So he hasn't said anything in regards to that.
So we're putting some labels on a person. We don't even know if he wants.
We're not putting the labels on them. The Europeans.
Let me ask you a question.
The Europeans are dictating this conversation.
Yes.
I want to ask a question for everybody at the table.
I don't want to go back to this conversation because every time it becomes a bigger conversation than what I have capacity and spoons to hold. Okay.
Capacity and spoons is crazy. No. So here's my question.
Miracle said the Pope ain't getting no ribs at her cookout.
Don't invite the Pope.
Even
zero ribs.
Do we know what?
Would you let the Pope bless the food at the cookout?
I mean, if he wants to bless the food at the cookout, would I invite him to the cookout is the question. Yeah. I don't know who he is, right? So I don't know who his people are, right? I don't know what he's advocated for. I mean, for his...
Well, here is a tweet from the Pope, Miracle. He
tweeted. Pope tweets?
He tweeted before he was the Pope. He retweeted.
Okay.
He retweeted this post. We continue to pray for Mr. George Floyd and his family in his honor, and as we prepare for Pentecost, we ask the Holy Spirit to unite us and heal our wounds. May all hatred, violence, and prejudice be eradicated so that we may all live in harmony and in peace of our Lord Jesus.
That sounds like some All Lives Matter.
Does he know Father Flaker? That's all I wanted.
Oh, shit.
What Jeremiah, right?
From Chicago.
Has he had a conversation with Minister Farrakhan?
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I want to know how tapped in the Pope is.
Has he had that?
That's Chicago's Holy Trinity right there. You know what I mean?
Like,
you're right.
Was he washing the feet? You know?
Yes.
He does seem to have. Like,
what's the address of the mosque in Chicago?
Come on, man.
Pope Leo.
Have you ever had a bean pie? You know what I mean?
No, but I do think.
Do you read the final call, Pope Leo?
I do think. I believe his first address. I don't know if it's called a convocation or I'm not Catholic.
Yeah, I don't know.
His first address was today. He did lift up a lot of human rights, issues that call for like an end of suffering, an ending of hunger. So seems to be like on a great path. I do know that there was some little consternation because they say that like in the past he hasn't really shown outward love to the gays. The last Pope was like, everybody's got to come together. And of course, being the Catholic Church, there are, allegations of, inappropriate behavior that he
not just allegations.
Well,
you know what I mean? Yeah. Yes, it's been inappropriate behavior. Yes.
And so, that's there, but I do want to give him the benefit of the doubt. It's only his first week on the job.
That would be that would be the first light-skinned person you've ever given the benefit of the doubt to.
It's only his first
Write
week.
it down.
It's only his first week on the job, but I think that for I don't really care that he's an American. I do just think that because he's a figurehead of a large religious institution that is supposed to be based on, taking care of the sick, feeding the hungry, helping the poor. I just want to make sure that he hopefully keeps what the last Pope was doing. But yeah, and if he's black, he's black. If he's, some Creole people don't say they're black.
True.
So it's
very true.
It's a whole like racial thing.
So can I
race does play differently in New Orleans.
No, I'm not gonna call him a black man.
Absolutely.
That's not my question.
Okay.
My question though is all of us here at the table. This is based off a conversation I had with someone else. I was having a conversation with someone. She was like, I I was an adult when I first heard about a pope, and it's a black person.
Yeah.
She's like, I never knew what the pope was, who he was, what he did,
Right.
until I was like in my late 20s, early 30s.
Yeah.
Has everybody here, when they grew up, did they know who the pope was?
Yes.
Okay.
I like not who he was.
Right,
I
yeah.
knew like there was
There is a pope, yeah.
I knew he had like the Pope mobile that was bulletproof.
Remember when he got shot at?
Yeah,
Yeah, they
and
tried to assassinate the pope.
And I knew he wore those clothes.
Yeah.
But as far as like what his role was,
Yeah.
what his duties, or even what his name was, like I don't remember the Pope's name.
I just thought his name was the pope.
Yeah, exactly. That's his title.
It's like a
but
title, yeah.
And even now, I mean, how Vatican City works,
Mm-hmm.
all of those things behind it, even the decision. I guess there's a movie called Conclave.
Yeah, I just preached that on Amazon.
And they were saying like the movie like went up like 1,000% the views of this movie because of this
Pope Leo.
decision. Yeah. So all of the inner workings of the Vatican, and I went to a Catholic school.
Right.
So I did communion. I did all of that.
Communion.
But the inner workings of that, the Vatican and how it works, I have no idea.
Okay.
Again, I kind of like Miracle. It's like, this is a figure. It's a figurehead. And he becomes like this most recognizable, almost like the number one Christian to go to or Catholic to go to. He did write an article in February that's called the opinion that says J.D. Vance is wrong. Jesus doesn't ask us to rank our love for others. And so he also retweeted critique of Donald Trump. So obviously the MAGA folks are going crazy.
Of course. Laura Loomer said
yes. Go ahead.
he was a woke Marxist pope, and that's the most MAGA evangelical white supremacist ethnocratic thing to say, is to come at a Christian for following the teachings of Christ. As it is written in the book. That shit is crazy to me.
Yes, it's really, it's like, wow, if you think he has some crazy views.
Yeah, what do you read about this guy, Jesus?
Wait till you hear about this Jesus guy who
Yeah.
wanted to like bring all the strangers in, right? He wanted to feed everybody.
Who hung out with prostitutes
love everybody.
and thieves, who was on a cross next to thieves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Who washed feet.
Real quick, Steve Bannon said this. He said, and they said Trump has been, Trump hasn't said anything negative about him yet, right? Steve Bannon told the BBC, I mean, it's kind of jaw-dropping.
Come on, man. Like, bro, I'm 28 years old. Like, I shouldn't be the most mature person.
He told the BBC it was jaw-dropping. It's crazy.
Serious or afraid?
I can't.
This is 2025. We're facing fascism.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I can't even repeat it. That's crazy.
This is where we are.
This is also what Steve Bannon said. He said, it's shocking to me that a guy could be selected to be the Pope that has had the Twitter feed and statements he's had against American senior politicians, said Steve Bannon. And he said there's definitely going to be friction between Leo and Donald Trump, who wanted to be Pope.
Like, so what? It's the Pope, nigga.
Yeah. But you were saying, Trouble?
So yeah, I do admire his criticism of Trump, J.D. Vance, and most politicians in power right now. I feel like there always needs to be criticism of who's in power, but especially from other positions of power. You know what I'm saying? But I always had like a complicated relationship with the Pope and the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
I grew up believing that the Pope was the Antichrist for a long time. And then also as an adult, I realized,
What was that based on? Just some
we
hood.
We ain't got
Just some hood shit. Gotcha. Okay.
Facts. But as I grew older and started to do my own knowledge, that's when I realized that like Rome never truly fell. It just became the Catholic religion.
Right.
Differently. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I still to this day don't know how to feel about the Pope, the Vatican, and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, even when you get into the Vatican and the wealth that the Vatican holds, in many of these places, particularly in black and brown countries that identify as Catholic, are very poor, right? But like Miracle said about the former Pope, he was somebody talked a lot about unity. He was somebody that I thought he he was like with the times. Supposedly they were going to take, I forget what it was that the former Pope had, and they were going to take it to Gaza to kind of help those children. So
Pope Mobile, he's going to turn it into a mobile, I want to like mobile, but I'm trying to be like your accent.
Yes.
Mobile medical ambulance and service for
and it is a thing of, I think, like you said, like when you are the most identifiable Catholic, there is like it's like, okay, well, we have the Bible, like folks want to see you behave this way,
right?
And it is fascinating because so much the fact that like MAGA identifies as Christian, but their behavior is so anti-Christian in every capacity. Because in Miracle always says, for them, cruelty is the point. They want, like, so what you wanted some Pope to say, to be totally against the teaching of Jesus, to say, forget all immigrants, you know what I'm saying? To forget all poor people, like, you know, forget all black and brown, forget, you know, starving children. Like, but that is how they see
this is
their religion. And it's fascinating because it's obviously, it's like, what, you're not taking it from this book called the Bible. And so it's like what you're believing is something totally warped, and it's fascinating.
Oh, my bad.
In response to Steve Bannon commanding the Pope to acquiesce to American politics, when the Pope, the presence of the Pope, the whole idea of it, the hierarchy in the religion is that the Pope answers to God, right? Not to an American politician. And all of you people who are considering yourselves Christians and have not read the Bible or not familiar with the Bible, yet you're championing it, you're missing a very important quote from John 19:11, when Jesus said, "You will have no authority over me at all unless it had been given to you from above, and therefore he who delivered me over to you has the greater sin." So
that's on a Sunday.
You know what
going
I mean?
to church.
Like, yo, it's like you forgot about the whole part, and that's what Jesus was talking to Pontius Pilate when Pontius Pilate said he had the power to crucify him. So you making it seem like the Pope has to answer to Donald Trump? Are you fucking mad, bro?
Well,
are you dizzy?
In their mind, you know, Trump is the leader of the world, so it has to be. One MAGA commentator said this choice of an American cardinal was done in a response to the message of President Donald Trump. And just to say that the article that the Pope had, the now Pope, but in February wrote, J.D. Vance is wrong, Jesus doesn't ask us to rank our love for others, was a response to a quote that J.D. Vance made where he said, there's a Christian concept that you love your family, and then you love your neighbor, and then you love your community, and then you love your fellow citizens, and then after that prioritize the world. A lot of the far left has completely inverted that. And so here's the Pope saying, no, you're wrong. Like that Jesus does not ask us to rank our love, but this is that Christian nationalism, right? This is that idea that like first we take care of our own, and by taking care of our own, it means forcing everybody else to suffer in their mind. It's being cruel or inhumane to every other human being. And so if you claim Christianity, any Christian, any of Christian authority or Bible authority in the world should be against this administration.
Absolutely.
Point blank, period.
But
and if you're not, I'm questioning your understanding of Christianity and of the Bible.
And I also wonder, like, when they spew these Christian beliefs and stuff like that, can they point to scripture in the Bible that directly states what they're trying to push? And
well, that's what they're doing. They're whitewashing this.
Well, they don't have to, because you know MAGAs don't read. So
yeah, I mean, and that's the thing about the critique about religious people as it comes to this. Religion tends to be an amplifier for who you are. So if you're a violent person, your Christianity is going to be violent. If you're a violent person, your Islam is going to be violent. If you're a violent person, your Judaism is going to be violent. And with this, they're making that what they're conflating is the idea of white supremacy, and Jesus says they're one and the same, and it's not.
Yeah.
But to these MAGA people, like, you know, again, these ethnocrats and these theocrats that wholeheartedly believe Jesus is this white man from Europe who came and delivered savages from the, you know, whatever the fuck they believe he did.
Right.
That's the doctrine that they're pushing, that they're expecting this Pope to uphold.
Right, it's like to equate like taking care of people who are less fortunate than you, right? To equate, oh, here's a stranger, they're in need of help. This was supposedly what America was built on, right? Give me your poor, give me your huddled masses yearning to be free, right? Come to here to say now we don't, but to equate like these ideals with like Marxism, is fascinating, because basically what you're telling us is capitalism is evil. Like if at its core, welcoming people in that are in need and feeding them and clothing them and housing them is Marxism, then to be cruel to them, to harm them, to arrest them, to brutalize them, then that's capitalism. Then basically what you're saying is capitalism is evil. And I don't even know if they totally understand that or if they're just too dumb to recognize that. We did talk a lot about Donald Trump last episode. And so I don't want to talk about too much about or play too many Donald Trump. We had so many. So much. I mean, Trump was on one. I mean, he but it is every day, right?
I mean, it's again, we have 4 years of endless material.
Right. So I just want to share some Trump headlines to get your response and reaction.
I'm ready for it.
Headline 1: Deal maker Trump frustrated by inability to strike deals. I'm sorry. That's the art of the deal, remember? And he said these tariffs is going to lead to deals. Trump administration halts research to help babies with heart defects.
Wow. Fuck them kids. Fuck them kids.
Wait, what? Again, Trump hilariously calls toy firm Mattel a country.
Listen, I said this before. Americans don't know geography, so they might believe that shit.
Yes, he called the toy firm Mattel, and I guess the head of Mattel came out and said that they would not be building factories here in America. And then Trump was like, we're going to put 100% tariff on all your Barbies. Because remember, Trump was out here talking about, oh, kids don't need 30 dolls. They just have 1 or 2 dolls. They don't need 30 dolls. And it's like, what yo, I don't know if you know about the economy right now. People can't afford no dolls.
None.
If we can't afford eggs, how we gonna buy some dolls, man? Come on, man.
That's a great point.
Donald Trump's approval rating on economy plunges to new low. Trump has skipped almost all of his intelligence briefing. I wonder if Trump looks at the word and sees it says intelligence and like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah. Trump's one of these anti-intellectuals.
Trump administration fills with Fox News personalities. And Trump said new Surgeon General pick could be one of the finest in history. The next day he said, I don't know her. Oh, wow. So
it's just anything. He say anything. Hold on. Oh, wait, damn.
Fuck Donald Trump.
Yes, there we go.
Yeah, fuck Donald Trump.
Damn, fuck.
We did have one Donald Trump clip where he was asked directly, CNN just put an article out that said, that talked about how for the first time since the COVID shutdown, that there would be no Chinese ships coming in to these California ports. Right? We're already seeing empty shelves. When you go to different stores in different places, you're already seeing empty shelves like COVID-19. And obviously who was president in COVID-19? It was Trump again, right? And so they asked Donald Trump about people who are working the ships, people who are truck drivers, like their fears that if there's no merchandise coming in, will they have a job? Did you want to play that clip, Farouk, of Trump's reply?
The traffic has really slowed, and now thousands of dock workers and truck drivers are worried about their jobs.
Yeah, no, that means we lose less money. When I see that means we lose less money. Look, China was making over $1 trillion, 1.1 trillion, in my opinion. Different numbers from 500 billion to $1 trillion or $1 trillion. I think it was 1.1 trillion. And frankly, if we didn't do business, we would have been better off. Okay, you understand that. So when you say it slowed down, that's a good thing, not a bad thing.
Here.
Miracle, I want to come to you. Most of these and many of these dock workers voted for Donald Trump, right? Mm-hmm. You had, for the first time, I think it was the Teamsters, the president of the Teamsters, came out in support of Donald Trump. in his presidency. Will it take like mass unemployment for things to turn around? Because it looks like that's where we're headed.
Again, the Imperial Boomerang always comes home.
Yes.
What you have permitted to go out into the world will always come and find you.
Yes.
And so this idea that you thought that somehow it was going to be immigrants unemployed and not having jobs.
Yes.
In reality, it's again why you have to always lead with the understanding that everyone deserves dignity and work and the ability to support and provide their families. And so this shutdown, I don't think people also realized again how global we are as a society.
Yeah.
And like how much we depend on other people. And so it's sad, it's unfortunate, but they're like, nothing comes in. Like I went to my local store.
Yes.
And you know how those little pictures where it's like, look, communist country, there's nothing on the shelves.
Yes.
And some of these places, there's like nothing on the shelves.
Nothing
and
on
I'm
the
just
shelves.
like,
Yes. And it just started.
Yeah, the store needs to go to the store.
this is like it's a little scary as nothing comes in. So I think between the tariffs and him throwing away veterans and dismantling the departments.
Yeah,
of
firing
education and
hundreds of thousands of people,
including, I forgot the lady who was running the Library of Congress because it apparently didn't understand how the Library of Congress worked.
Right.
I want to say her name starts with a C, but she's a black lady, a black woman who was running the Library of Congress and not understanding what that job was doing.
Yes.
So like firing her. There's been a lot of black people. I think Joy Ann Reid had posted a post about like all the people Trump is firing as black. And Senator Warnock was talking about how Trump has used this DEI initiative to fire qualified black people and then replace these folks with people who have no idea what they're doing.
With Fox News personalities. I mean, that's what he did. He just brought another Fox News personality in to be the Attorney General of DC. Yeah.
And how the that white supremacy is now destroying us from within.
You know what the problem is, Miracle?
Uh-oh.
The problem is there's no black Fox News personality hosts.
There are
so we can't get no jobs. We can't get on Fox. We got to get on Fox News to get a job in the White House.
We be DEI.
There are a couple. There's the Harris Faulkner woman.
She's the worst.
She's
the worst.
Gianno Caldwell.
Yeah. Well, they're not getting no jobs either.
They're not because they're just they.
Then that would be DEI, I guess, if he hired.
I think because they're actually smart and qualified and capable. I think that's what it is. I think the people that Trump picks are people who are desperate because they don't have any other thing.
And they're willing to do whatever he says
because they have nothing to fall back on. Harris, I think her husband's rich, so she doesn't need a Trump position to be good enough in the world.
And because what he's asking them to do is kind of as criminals. This is one of the reasons that they were saying they were using Signal, right? Because they don't want a record of what they're actually doing, because it could ultimately lead to them being arrested or incarcerated. They're also talking about right now suspending the constitutional right of habeas corpus to speed deportations. Stephen Miller, who might be, and every time I look at Stephen Miller, the first thing I think is, how old is this? Isn't Stephen Miller 31? But he looks like he's 100. I don't know. He's a horrible, horrible human being. But Stephen Miller is talking about, there's a clip that we're going to play of Stephen Miller talking about that the Trump administration is looking at suspending habeas corpus. So you're going to have to walk us through this, Lawyer Miracle, and what this means to us. But can you play that clip?
Is the supreme law of the land that the privilege of the writ of habeas corpus can be suspended in a time of invasion. So I would say that's an option we're actively looking at. Look, a lot of it depends on whether the courts do the right thing or not. At the end of the day, Congress passed a body of law known as the Immigration and Nationality Act, which stripped Article 3 courts, that's the judicial branch, of jurisdiction over immigration cases. So Congress actually passed, it's called jurisdiction stripping legislation. it passed a number of laws that say that the Article 3 courts aren't even allowed to be involved in immigration cases. Many of you probably don't know this. I'll give you a good example. Are you familiar with the term temporary protected status, or TPS, right? So by statute, the courts are stripped of jurisdiction from overruling a presidential determination or a secretarial determination on TPS when the Secretary of Homeland Security makes that determination. So when Secretary Noem terminated TPS for the illegals that Biden flew into the country, when courts stepped in, they were violating explicit language that Congress had enacted, saying they have no jurisdiction. So it's not just the courts aren't just at war with
of course it's not. Of course it's not. If he's talking, he's lying.
At war, these radical judges with the legislative branch as well too. So all of that will inform the choices the president ultimately makes. Yes,
Mr. Miller. So again, he starts off by saying that the Constitution is the law of the land, and then goes on to say how they're going to usurp the laws in the Constitution. So, and it's interesting because a lot of these MAGA people are the ones that were like, they're going to come take our guns. They're going to start rolling these rights back. They're going to come. And so like when Donald Trump does it, nothing, right? When Donald Trump passes his police bill that looks like martial laws in it, not a peep, right? When Donald Trump and them were talking about we don't need trials, not a peep. Now when they're saying we're going to suspend habeas corpus, not a peep, right? But we know if this was Joe Biden, they'd be going crazy. They'd be talking about New World Order and they're coming to lock us all up. So as citizens, quote unquote, in quotes, Miracle, how should we interpret them suspending habeas corpus? Is this like an actual threat to us?
It is the biggest threat because habeas corpus is basically what a lot of people y'all know as due process. It is the right to know what you're being accused of and to defend yourself in court. The Article 3 that he's talking about created the formulation of immigration courts. There is a whole mechanism that we have seen of courts, particularly judge shopping in Louisiana with all of the students being shipped to Louisiana, where courts were determining whether or not someone was in violation, whether or not someone was being deported. What has happened is because this administration bastardized the rule of law and tries to make new interpretations, courts like you cannot do that. So yes, while there are immigration courts to deal with immigration, when there is the issue of the process, there's the issue of interpretation, that then goes to the regular courts, the Article 3 courts, the courts that determine what the rule of law is. And the reason why we have a federal infrastructure is no matter where you are in the sovereign, you're supposed to have the same rights. If you suspend habeas corpus, what prevents someone from picking anyone up and saying this person is an immigrant and therefore they're deported? That is why it is always going to be a threat, and particularly to black people, it is going to be the biggest threat.
Particularly when you seen like when they, mistakenly sent, Mr. Garcia to El Salvador, they were like, well, so what? Like, even though they were told to bring him back, they're like, no. So even if they grab you and send you over there, they're not, even if the courts say to them, you have to bring this person back, they're probably not going to. You're done.
And there have been instances, there was a situation in New York where the ICE, they just grabbed someone. They said it's the wrong guy, but say we're still taking him. And now the man, 19 years old, is in El Salvador. So if you do not have the right to defend yourself, if you do not have the right to say, this is not me, I haven't done anything wrong, what we're seeing right now, particularly with this whole MS-13 snafu, was like, what do these tattoos mean? Right. If you do not have the right to say this tattoo is not a gang tattoo, that then means everyone with tattoos can therefore be deported.
Absolutely. 100%. Because you can interpret, you can say they mean this. And that's exactly what, and then also what they can do is whatever tattoo you have, they can just type MS-13.
But like, here's the thing, but it's really, really true. If somebody grabbed you right now, how do you prove you're a citizen? If there is no process to sit there and say that you are a citizen, how do you prove that you have a right to be here? If no one's required to look at your social security number, no one's required to look at your passport, how do you prove that? How do you make sure you're able to stay?
And what they're doing is their philosophy, and Trump also announced that he wants to hire 20,000 more ICE officers. their philosophy is we're going to snatch you up and then decide later. American citizens have been arrested and spent numerous weeks in ICE facilities until their quote unquote status is determined. The tough university student that we saw snatched off the street, Rumisha Oschurk, has been brought back home. She still has to go to court, but at least she's back and in Massachusetts. But she spent 6 weeks.
Wow. It was 6 weeks.
It was 6 weeks.
Crazy.
In the worst, according to what they say, the worst ICE facility, which is in Louisiana. Do you all have any comments, Trouble and Fruit?
I mean, as someone who has spent time in these facilities, it's a living nightmare.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's a terrifying thing to have your rights stripped away and to be treated like a person without a country,
right,
and to be a person deprived of human rights and your humanity denied to you. So the idea that this is okay, you were taught about this in junior high about how the Gestapo did this to people in Nazi Germany, and how awful it was. You all were forced to read the Diary of Anne Frank and how terrible that was, and how it was made a vow to never allow this to happen again. Yeah. Well, it's happening now. And and like Miracle said, how do you prove that you are an American citizen? Specifically with this, in the state of Pennsylvania, I can't speak on other states how they've been doing it, but with the convolution and the awful rollout process of a real ID, the misinformation of it, to where it proved that all of your vital records were not in a single file. Yeah. That was the impetus of having a real ID, to finally aggregate all of this data to prove who you were.
Interesting.
So now it was like, so it's like, how do you prove you're a citizen if you're denied due process?
Well, I'll take it a step further, bro. Imagine being the mayor of a city,
of a fucking major American city, not some podunk town.
Going to visit a immigration enforcement facility in the city.
That you're
where
the mayor
you are the mayor, and just wanting to see what's going on, and they arrested the mayor, who happened to be black, of course. You know what I'm saying? Mayor Ras Baraka. And they're also saying Homeland Security issued a statement saying that there will likely be more arrests coming, that they have body camera footage showing members of Congress who are also there assaulting our ICE enforcement officers. You know what I'm saying? So now here is Democrats, trying to push back on Trump's agenda, literally just saying this is an ICE facility. We want to see what's going on. And according to Mayor Ras Baraka, he said, I didn't go there to break any laws. I didn't break any laws. I was there as the mayor of the city, exercising my right and duty as an elected official, supporting our Congress people preparing for a press conference that was supposed to happen there. You know what I'm saying? So again, this isn't at a border. It's not like Newark, New Jersey. It's some border city, right? Yeah. And this is a mayor, and this is the type of, so if he can be arrested,
right?
What do I have? Or what chance would I have against ICE? Did you or Miracle have any comment on Ras Baraka?
So my comment wasn't specifically on Ras, even though that is wild to think that a black mayor can be arrested just for visiting the facility. I hope that people are paying attention to what's happening right now. I feel like, we talked about this a few weeks ago about how this is the Trump administration trying to break us down, trying to weaken our defense, and trying to, make us too exhausted to fight back. And I feel like we're in a position right now where they're discussing suspending habeas corpus, but it's not suspended yet.
Yes.
Meaning that more people need to educate themselves on what that is, and the fact that they do have the right to question why they're being detained and take it to a court to see if it's even lawful in the first place.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
But again, like what Miracle was saying, is they're trying to create a scenario or situation where we're not going to be able to do that. That they're going to be able to arrest us, and once they arrest us, we have no rights to actually defend ourselves. And because imagine, again, they don't care what we could literally have a situation where an elected official who's a Democrat could end up in El Salvador I mean, this is wild. Did you have any comment on what happened at this ICE facility, Miracle?
Yeah, so I'm taking this on a journey. So every year before an election, I listen to Malcolm X, The Ballot and the Bullet, and then I pick like 2 other folks to like immerse myself in.
How radical of you, Miracle? But carry on.
So my 2 people have been June Jordan and Sonia Sanchez.
Yes.
And I was listening to Sonia Sanchez, and she was talking about using art to uplift the message and to engage in how we have to use poetry to awaken the masses. And she mentioned Ross Baraka, and she was like, he is this slam poet who is, talking to people about racism and violence and talking about ways in which we have to change systems. And then Beyonce, she did her tour, and she uses one of his poems like in her entryway. And I was like, that's very fascinating. So while I was like doing this deep dive, then this incident happened. So I was successful to take us on a journey.
Yes.
And so the fact that the mayor of Newark is going to this facility that is being apparently operated in defiance of local laws.
Right.
They're trying to figure out what is going on at this facility, who's being housed, and what are the conditions in this facility. The federal legislators, the Congress people, have a right and a duty to be there and investigate and visit these
literally
facilities.
Their job. Yes, literally their job.
And the fact that he gets attacked and assaulted is wild to me.
Yeah.
But what I appreciate is this idea that the person who has been standing up for immigrants is a black man.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because there is this narrative that whether it's what happened in Chicago or even New York, that black people do not stand with immigrants. And you're seeing black mayors, whether it's Ed Gainey or Brandon Johnson, combat that false narrative.
Absolutely.
And I appreciate, again, how our radical solidarity is being amplified in this moment.
Absolutely.
And I also liked how everybody came down to that ICE facility and stood with Ross Baraka, and then he got out and gave a speech and a statement, and that people were so committed to not leaving, right? Because this idea that now we used to leave people in jail. They would get arrested and we would leave them there. That's how disappearances work, right? Mm-hmm. You get afraid of state violence, you get afraid of state terror, and you don't show up. And the fact that people showed up and refused to leave, that to me was like, okay, something is changing. We're not there yet. We're not at this radical movement where we need to be, but there are starting to be these signs that that this new America is coming, and that we are, the people that we have been waiting for.
And Miracle, I have another sign.
Okay.
You talk about new America's coming.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about integration. You're talking about this radical reimagining of solidarity.
Mm-hmm.
Trump's bringing white South Africans.
You know what? I can't stand you.
Into the United States.
I don't know why. I feel like...
Fuck Donald Trump.
I mean...
What are they escaping from, Donald? What are they fleeing from? Please tell us. Yeah.
So it said the Trump administration is bringing white South Africans to the United States as refugees. And what it says is the start of a larger relocation effort for a minority group who are being persecuted.
Why?
Right.
I wonder why they're being persecuted.
It says, it's funny because it says the South African government said that the white Afrikaners in question being persecuted are completely false. It says it cited the fact that Afrikaners are among the richest and most successful people in the country.
Absolutely are. They've been exploiting this country for how long?
Exactly. And they're the most economically privileged. It also said they're like their language is spoken. You know what I'm saying? These are mainly Dutch and French colonial people. And so again, it's like it says Afrikaners are part of South Africa's everyday multiracial life. Many are successful business leaders serving government. Their language is widely spoken and is recognized as an official language.
I can't
wait the persecution?
I can't wait to hear Trevor Noah weigh in on this, man.
Well, again, I mean, remember, who's Trump's advisor?
The muskrat.
Exactly. Elon Musk. And so they're accusing the South African government of having anti-white laws and racist laws. Again, here are...
It's no fun when the rabbit has the gun.
But it's also, it's like this is a place that's indigenous to those black people there.
Yeah.
And the fact that they want to own the land that they came from. Right? Here are the very same people that are like, we got to enforce borders. We got to have our power. Da, 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 da. So then when a black country does it, now we're bad.
Yeah.
Now we're wrong. The brother that's in Burkina Faso. Now, you know, when we do it, it's radical. When you do it, it's what everybody's supposed to do. Right? Anyway, any commentary on white South Africans coming over here and reverse racism? No?
Follow the law when you get here.
I'm gonna tell you. It said here's a headline. It says South Africa's new U.S. envoy called Trump racist, homophobic, and narcissistic. Oh, so we mad at niggas from speaking the truth now?
Come on.
We penalizing truth speakers?
Not to disparage immigrants, because I believe that, you know, immigrants are welcome.
Yeah.
However, not all immigrants. And the reason why I say this is the Afrikaners also have been known to be trained with foreign mercenaries. Have been significantly known to be violent, to be racist, to be anti-black.
Yes.
And so I do think that importing a group of people who have hostile sentiments to people of color.
Yes.
And this is going to be the first time that they have to integrate with people of color.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that this is part of this civil rights war violence that people are wanting to see, and that they're hoping that, like, it creates this conflict. I do think you're going to see this 1970s whiteness reemerge, where they're going to be like, yeah, you're not white. Like, I don't think American white people are going to look at American.
I agree with you. Yep.
I mean, I don't think
the South Africans. Yeah, they're not white. Yeah.
As white people, and that is going to create chaos and a conflict. That's what I think is going to happen.
I think this does more harm than good.
Yes, because I will never get over this white man talking about he was Polish and he had the right to say the N-word because he was never accepted as white in Pittsburgh, and I was like, that's not a thing.
What? Huh?
Yeah, so a lot of like Ukrainian, they're not. You're considered white, like English,
right.
WASP, yeah, WASP, yeah.
Italians very much on the border of whiteness.
Yes.
Irish very much on the borders of whiteness. Polish, Russians very much on the barely touching the border of whiteness.
But in terms of like solidarity, right? When you talk about like if you're Trump and you want somebody that is in solidarity with your white supremacist message, of course you want a racist, violent group of people to come, you know, have solidarity with your racist, violent base, right? It's like, it just increases the violence,
Until they talk with the accent, until they hear them speak, and they're going to be like, not you.
Well,
right? And I think that that's one of the things is also...
Is it? Because, I mean, they've embraced Elon Musk. I mean, is that the case?
Because Elon Musk says, I think, as a billionaire, these are refugees. These are not people... Not all. I don't think this is the $5 million folks, right?
Yeah.
So that's also a thing of if these are working class people or these are rich people.
But Miracle. Let me say that, because, you know, right now, Miracle, if you want to get money, you just call black people nigga and then start a GoFundMe. I mean, we just saw this woman almost approach $1 million. And when you're speaking of, I guess there was an interview with Piers Morgan with this white influencer. It's funny, a trad wife, the traditional wife influencer, who helped.
Oh, that's what trad wife stands for?
Yeah, traditional wife.
Oh, okay.
And basically, who helped to raise money for this woman who called this black child an N-word over and over again. She did an interview on Piers Morgan, and she had a lot to say. And apparently she wanted to say some more.
Because you want to support a white racist?
Because I want to support free speech, and you cannot have free speech in the country.
No, that's fine. You can support free speech, but you also have to be accountable for what you say. She is, I mean, would you use the N-word out of interest?
Yes.
She was right.
I do, quite frequently.
You use the M word quite frequently. Well, why? Other than the fact you're a despicable racist. Are you?
Because you don't like niggas?
Some would say I am. I guess according to the ADL, I'm a white supremacist. I'm a neo-Nazi.
Yeah, well, if you use the M word repeatedly, you are a racist, then, are you? Are you?
Sure, I'll embrace that. If that means
She
supporting,
said, I'll embrace it.
helping white people achieve freedom of speech, real freedom of speech, which, by the way,
Can you pause that? Can you pause that? Can you pause that?
Because she's just chatting shit.
Where do white people not have the ability?
I don't know what world you're navigating in where your whiteness is policed.
Yeah, like she is.
You are Hitler's dream.
Right. She's an influencer. Obviously, she has a lot of followers.
Right.
She has a lot of supporters. Like, who is stopping her from utilizing this speech that she wants to say? Obviously, no one. I mean, you raised $1 million for this woman who said the N word over and over again. How is that stopping free speech? Who's doing that?
I don't know, again, where you're living to where you believe you're under the pretense that you're not allowed your constitutional right. The thing is, what you're trying to say is you don't want other people to have the constitutional right to speak freely, right? You think your speech is supreme and therefore it should be, should overtake everything.
Yes.
That's what you want. You don't want this equality that you're making it out to be. Like, you want it to be one way, and it's not. It's the other way.
But I just want to know, like, where is the example of a white person's free speech being denied?
You have entire networks.
You have
dedicated
Fox
to this
News,
shit.
Yes, you have a whole
One TV or whatever that shit is
racist.
called.
You have a president who said the only people I want to bring over here as immigrants are white South Africans. I mean, what more of a sign do you? Where is this? Oppression where is it at?
I don't, man, they want to win the struggle Olympic, the oppressive Olympics so bad, man. They want gold in every category, but bro, this is so fucking exhausting, man.
Yeah. Well, to take it a step further, Piers Morgan, in front of our brother, Dr. Mark Lamont Hill, asked her to stand on business.
And she was about to.
She was about to stand on business. Can you play that clip, sir?
And I don't want to live in a country where you can say an inappropriate, rude thing, which, by the way, black people can say things to white people all the time and they never get canceled. There's no backlashing about this. I want to live in a country where people are allowed to say what they want unashamedly. And you will
Well, go on, then say it. Say the M. Go on, say the M word. Go on.
She's about to say it. She's about to say it with her whole chest.
No.
I don't want you to invite this woman to say a racially harmful term in front of me, because I'm the only on here. So if she says it, I'm the victim of it. So please don't invite her for ratings to call me the N-word, because that's basically what it's going to be. There's a bunch of white people up here, and one Uncle Tom on the left here,
yes.
And ask her to say the N-word while I'm here is ridiculous. You would not sit here with a Jewish person and say, please use a Jewish slur in front of this Jewish. It's ridiculous. I understand you don't have any bad intent, Piers. I understand what you're trying to do.
You know what, Mark? I hear you.
And I don't want to invite a racial harm to me.
I hear you, and I accept that. And
what was the flag that he held up?
I have no idea. You know what I'm saying? And nor do I care. Because, like you said, he's an Uncle Tom.
Waste man.
You know what I'm saying? He's on there to, like, again, and it's like you bring on, this, and it's interesting because we've seen these, like, non-black people, but quote unquote people of color, right? That terminology, right?
That's why I don't like that shit.
Of course. These non-black people, but, people of the global majority that sit in these places and give white people permission to be racist in their face until they start talking about taking them passports away from Indian folks. And it's all like, wait a second. You know what I'm saying? And it is interesting to just watch this happen over and over again. But again, like, she already said she would say the N-word. I don't think there's a reason for her to say it, but just any commentary on Piers Morgan as a whole?
I think Piers knew what the fuck he was doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's not dumb. I don't really like Piers. He plays the middle too much.
He was trying to get a moment, right?
He was trying to get a moment, and Piers has done his own, conservative bullshit, throwing his hat in the ring and his bread and circuses thing, like where he's teetered that line of saying a lot of questionable white supremacist shit and getting over on the fact that he's this articulate posh British man, right?
Yes.
I think though,
but I think he was trying to have that, like when people were defending Elon Musk doing an actual Nazi salute.
Yeah.
People were saying, okay, well, if you didn't, people were like, okay, well, do it then.
Do what
he did.
Yeah. Like when Delroy Lindo did it on that show.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But I mean, I do want to launch up our brother Mark because he's been on a run on podcasts embarrassing people lately.
Yes, he definitely.
And, you know what I mean? Just like intellectually punishing these people, and I love it.
I don't agree with him platforming a woman like this. You know what I'm saying? This is the woman who was helping the woman who said the N-word raise money, right?
Correct.
I don't understand why they didn't have the mother of the child she called the N-word on this platform.
Go ahead.
To talk more about, like, you know, the ramifications of something like that. Probably even, you know, tell the public why they shouldn't be donating to a GoFundMe for someone who has caused some kind of harm like this.
Yeah.
But instead they give the platform to the white woman.
Yeah.
And I do want to large up, correct me if I'm wrong. I know there was a black woman in coding who kind of
Right. We did read about that.
Disrupted the GoFundMe.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I forget her name. I wish I remember her name, but I do want to large her up. And this is why we need more black people in STEM. And that is my piece.
Right. There was a black woman who had a team of people that effectively got, I think it was the company Square was hosting this funding campaign and got Square to bow out of that by putting pressure on that. You know what I'm saying?
Square has a thing in their bylaws was like they can't propagate anything that has like hate speech or anything like that.
Right. And I think somebody said that like maybe Jay-Z is on the board or whatever. So there's a whole bunch of stuff. I did want to, we don't have a lot of time. You know, we always like to create a space for Miracle to tie her boots up and do her back kicking. And one of Miracle's favorite targets, although he's old.
You're never too old to get the accountability that you deserve. No, because old people like to do that. They go, let me disrespect you. They go, oh my God, I'm old. Like, yes, you're old, so you should know better.
Joe Biden was on The View this week.
Nobody asked for that.
I wish we had these clips. Remember, Joe Biden is reemerging out of whatever, nap that he was taking. I don't know. I guess The View is early in the morning.
Yeah.
So he was awake to do this. According to the quotes on the show, I didn't watch it, but he said he was not surprised that Kamala Harris lost. He said, not because I didn't think the vice president wasn't the most qualified person to be president. She is. He said it was because of racism and sexism.
So why would you endorse her and put her out there? If you knew that she was going to lose and you knew America was so racist and bigoted and sexist, then why would you endorse her and tell everyone else not to have an open primary?
Well, Miracle, according to Joe Biden, you know what the problem was? Quote, a lot of people didn't show up.
Why didn't they show up, Joe?
They were taking naps like he was.
Why? Like, what policies? What policies were you putting out there, Joe?
Okay, so then they asked, it says, okay, to make Miracle even matter. View co-host Sunny Holston also pointed out that the vice president had said in an October interview on their show she wouldn't have changed a thing about how Biden handled his term, despite the Democrats' plummeting poll numbers. Biden's quote, I did not advise her to say that.
This is why I tell people, do not carry bail or buckets for folks, because the minute they will turn on you, they will.
Yeah.
The minute they can turn on you, they will. And if you watch the interview, because I actually.
Oh, you watched.
I was like, well, maybe something.
You hate watched.
No, I was like, maybe there's something that we missed, right? Maybe there's some accountability. Maybe there's some apologies. Maybe I was wrong in my assertion that this is a no good person, right? So let me be watched out of curiosity.
Yes.
Not only did he say he didn't advise her to say that.
Yes.
He also walked back the claim that there could be no daylight between the two of them.
Oh, of course.
She
Yeah.
also said, well, I didn't say that.
Yeah, of course.
She just decided on her own volition.
Yes.
Not to have a personality or a platform.
Absolutely.
She decided on her own volition not to break with any of the negative policies that explain why the Democrats' poll numbers were taken.
Yes.
So not only did he disregard her loyalty to him,
yes,
he went on there and in the nicest, most polite way crapped on her.
Yes.
To her face.
Yes.
And I
kicked
just
her
wanted
back in.
to say, based on the last segment, we need to talk about anti-blackness as spectacle.
Oh, wow.
And the idea that having that woman almost call Mark Lamont Hill a racial slur in his presence,
yes,
or say a racial slur in his presence, is also the same way as how the NFL is treating Shadur Sanders, where they pushed him to the fifth round, and now are trying to capitalize on him every single day, push all these stories, have all these folks. This idea that we're watching like buck breaking in real time is something that we need to like really interrogate, especially if we're going to try and make it through these next couple of years without platforming and enriching white supremacists.
Should Kamala respond to this?
She should have responded 2 years ago.
Well, with that being said, our white pages this week is called Black Freedom Struggle in Urban Appalachia, edited by Jay-Z Bennett, Christy McGuire, Lori Dale O'Connor, T. Elon Dancy, and Sabina Valtz. Black Freedom Struggle in Urban Appalachia. And when you turn these pages,
there's words on them?
Not only is there words on them, but it's funny. There's a essay in this called In the Space that is not a dialogue with Mark Lamont Hill.
Oh wow. Look
and
at
T.
God.
Elon Dancing. Also there is a chapter called Hip Hop as Pedagogy for a Black Freedom Struggle. I contributed a little bit to that.
I was waiting for you to get to that point.
Yeah. So shout out
He's in another book, y'all. Just serious.
Yes.
In another book.
In another book. You know what I mean? So shout out to
you gotta get a bookshelf and put like all the books I'm in and mention.
I talked to a gentleman that does some videography for us, and I say, yo, man, I want to do a video where I get all of these books, and he dubbed me. You know what I mean? He's running around the world with his 3-time Webby documentary, getting all the accolades. Shout out to E-May.
I wonder who that is.
Shout out to E-May and his accolades. So Black Freedom Struggle in Urban Appalachia is your white pages. Anything happening coming up?
Oh, just a little mayoral election.
Election in Pittsburgh.
Just some tense moments. So please, if you're registered to vote, make sure you come out. We also, outside the mayoral election, are having the opportunity to elect 8 judges to our local Commonwealth Court.
Absolutely.
So our 501c4 One Hood Power has done some endorsements.
Yes.
So go if you're looking what to do in the Pittsburgh or who to support in the Pittsburgh area for this primary election. You can go to the C4, but there's a lot of stuff happening in Pittsburgh. I did see your Twitter exchange with Dr. Ujuanya. So Miracle is on social media giving out good advice and breaking it down as to what we can vote on and what we can't in this Democratic primary. Like you said, One Hood Power has a lot of information, has endorsements about what the voting process is. We had some early voting opportunities, mail-in ballots, and then on May 20th is the day you can actually vote for not only our mayoral election, but judges as well. Yesterday there was a concert, Patonka Tonk, that One Hood performed at. So One Hood does do performances. There is a lot of programming and art that we have. We have 2 art showcases. I believe one is this Friday, right?
No,
live.
This is
next Friday, the Friday after.
Yeah, the Friday upcoming. No, the Friday, the 23rd and the 30th.
The days are running together.
May 23rd and the 30th. So again, even after the election, we still got work to do. And that work is mobilizing our community, platforming artists that are using their gifts and talents to speak to issues of social justice. Special K, an incredible vocalist, rapper, poet, singer, all of that. And then Jasmine Cho, who is a cookie activist. So we get to have some delicious cookies and see these cookies do some activation. And so a bunch of great stuff is happening. So thank you for all the work that One Hood does. Shout out to Crip, who's feeding people every week. I mean, come on, you know what it is. Anything else?
Donate to One Hood.
Yes.
OneHood.org. You saw the announcement that the federal government's pulling a lot of art funding.
Yes.
So again, the way we're able to do this work is if you donate, so donate to One Hood, OneHood.org.
Yes. It's funny. Somebody just sent us an email, like they were shocked that we read their email on an episode. Yes, if you send us an email, don't be shocked.
Those of us that know how to read, will we read it?
We might. Somebody was asking if we do have a White Pages reading list. I believe we do.
We do, yeah.
And we'll post that on our social media. That was Seth. We see you. But yes, if you want to engage with us directly, you can go to info@onehood.org, info@onehood.org. If you go to onehood.org, our website, you can donate to One Hood. We are a 501c3. That's a tax deductible donation. Shout out to those that have done that and sent us in resources. We appreciate you. And you can also go under new merchandise and purchase a One Hood hoodie, T-shirt. We got some beanies in there. And so there's many ways that you can support the work that we do. So we appreciate that as well. With that being said, do you have last words?
Famous last words?
Pray for me to make it to May 20th.
Yes. Trouble?
Never lose sight.
My brother.
Let's keep me from being deported.
Yes.
Yes.
Peace. One Hood, y'all.
Peace, everybody.